Last time on Sailing One Life, we introduce you to our Golden Rock Dive Center family. We go for an epic hike on the Quill. We get vaccinated, and then we show you the real reason we stayed on this volcanic island for so long. Join us on this episode as we dig a little deeper. Hi, we're Brooke and Gary.
A year ago, we traded the American dream for our dream.
Welcome to One Life. Do you remember in our last episode how we said the people of Statia were simply amazing? Here's a few examples of why we feel this way. Let's start with a couple we met one night at a bar called The Boardwalk.
So today we're going for a tour with a couple of the archaeologists on island. They're here doing research and they offered to give us a tour. So we're gonna see some history and see some cool stuff. The swell here today is really bad. We have to stern tie our dinghy every time we come to the dinghy dock because look how big the swell is. The swell washes right over the dock here when it gets big. But we make it work. Ready?
Ready. With our dinghy safely secured at the dock, we made the short hike up the hill to Fort Orenstead to meet Rude and Alex.
Eustatius Center for Archaeological Research.
SECAR for short.
SECAR for short, which is a non-profit organization here on the island. And what we do is several different things, but they all have to do with history and archaeology. So let's start in the 17th century here. This island was first permanently settled by the Dutch in 1636. Changed hands 22 times in the course of only 180 years between the British, French, and the Dutch. The original settlers, they set up plantations to grow sugarcane, cotton, cacao, indigo, tobacco. So the island was never really a successful plantation colony. So the Dutch, they turned to their commercial instincts in 1756. And they said, you know what, we'll turn this island into a free port. By the late 18th century, the island itself only produced about 600,000 pounds of sugar, but it was exporting 20 million pounds. So 19.5 million pounds came from the British and French sugar islands all around here.
I'm guessing the English weren't too happy with this.
They were not happy with that at all. By 1777, we had 3,500 ships dropping anchor here every year, and they came from all around the world. So you would have, we know from eyewitness accounts, that at any given time there could be between 150 and 200 ships at anchor here. During the Revolutionary War, the rebels needed all of those supplies, war material, and they got most of that from the Dutch through St. Eustatius. On November 16, 1776, a North American brig sails into the harbor here. Ship drops anchor, it fires a salute, 13 guns. Commander here in the fort fires a return salute, 11 guns. This act was interpreted by many as the first official recognition of the United States as an independent nation by a foreign power. The British were not happy with that, but what they were especially not happy about is that we kept supplying the rebels with all these arms and ammunition.
After seeing the fort, Rude and Alex took us for a walking tour of the town. We stopped to see historical churches, synagogues, and graveyards, complete with detailed historical stories from our new friends. Then, we all loaded up in the SECAR Land Rover, and we drove over to the cannons at Backoff Bay. This bay overlooks the channel between Statia and St. Kitts, and was fortified by the Dutch to protect from incoming ships. After a quick stop at the remnants of an 18th century sugar mill, we headed over to the Caribbean Netherlands Science Institute.
History of what we found underwater, just the maritime archaeology aspect of the island, and it's on display so everyone can have a look and come in whenever they want. And we usually set up a transect and people start swimming and when they find stuff, they fan with their hand. Thankfully, sand moves really easily. And then, if they say, like this piece of glass, then they'll put the stake down with the artifact number, and then they keep moving on until the whole area is covered with tags, and then we start documenting that. Yeah, and then sometimes we miss some things and we'll go back and add another, or sometimes we're usually going back and double checking, make sure it's actually an artifact, because it's pretty hard to tell underwater sometimes. We usually bring artifacts up, we put them in mesh bags underwater, and then we carefully bring them up because everything's fragile and it still could break. And then we'll bring it back onto land and then carefully bring that bucket up to here. This is where we do a lot of our conservation. That's why it's nice to have the whole front area.
After an amazing day with Rude and Alex, we said see you later and headed back to the boat.
Do you remember the swell at the dinghy dock in the morning? Well, when we got back to the dock, it got a whole lot worse. We got a call later that evening, and this happened. I feel like we should knock.
What's behind the door? Oh my.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome!
So, the old gin house, definitely the most generous business. We have yet to meet the owners, but we can't wait to, and thank them for the hospitality because this is amazing. I can't believe that they saw us out there on our boat rocking around and thought, hey, they'd probably like to spend a night in a flat bed that's not bouncing all over the place. So they just offered us to stay in their room.
In this room.
How cool is this? Look at this bed, it's giant. Look at the TV. I don't even remember how to watch TV.
And look at this bathtub.
So One Life is literally right out our balcony. So we can just poke our heads out here and check on her. We felt a little bad leaving her, but she'll be okay on anchor for a night.
So the waves are just crashing up on shore here. It's pretty gnarly. Our room is absolutely lovely, and this bottle of wine was sitting here on the counter. So I'm gonna pour a glass of wine and get in the bubble bath. How cool of the owners of this hotel, who did not even know us, to invite us in so we could get some sleep.
This is the most generous thing that's ever happened to us, I think.
Yeah, I have no words, but
cheers.
Cheers! After a peaceful night's sleep, we awoke the next morning to see One Life bobbing right outside our patio. Okay, so we really just want to stay in this hotel room all day, but we have a really cool tour lined up of the solar plant here. So we're gonna go with Bo and Brandy and check it out. We headed downstairs to meet up for a delicious breakfast. After breakfast, we decided to go check on the boats before we left for the day. The sea state is never quite captured well by camera, so Gary stayed on shore to get some shots with the drone. Both boats were there rocking and rolling, just how we left them. I checked One Life's anchor to make sure she was all set for the day. Sure, we could have stayed on our boats with no problem, but it was so nice to sleep on a bed that wasn't moving for a night or two. And then Bo and Brandy swung back by to pick me up. We then headed back to the old gin house to meet up with Gary. we made our way up the hill to meet with Mr. Jack, who was going to show us Statia's solar farm. You're probably wondering why we are excited about seeing all these panels. Well, in 2017, St. Eustatius shut off their daytime generators in exchange for electricity powered by the sun. Just like we have on One Life. Well, sorta. We only have 2 panels. But anyway, what does all this solar mean exactly? Well, for one, 1.7 million liters of diesel will be saved per year. 46% of the island's electricity is powered by these solar panels. There are around 13,000 panels on the island, which provide electricity to businesses and over 300 households. That is pretty remarkable. Mr. Jack showed us around the solar containers and explained about the transformer and battery bank systems. Statia is the first island we have been to that has had a solar setup like this. And another cool thing about this solar farm, the gutter system also works as a rain collection system, which collects water and distributes to local agriculture. And have we mentioned, Statia is also only one of the few islands we've seen that recycles? When our tour was over, Mr. Jack took us back to the old gin house. When we got back to the old gin house, we did a bit of exploring. It was dark when we got to our room last night, so we decided to check out the pool area and the bar. The bar at the time was closed, but don't worry, you'll see it in action soon. Meet Marlise, and here is her husband, Siebel, owners of the old gin house, who so graciously opened their arms to us.
Here you go. Okay. Find a lot of this. The Delft blue, so either a cup like a teacup or a plate.
Oh, yeah.
Or it's literally everywhere.
Yeah, just where you park. You're parking on artifacts.
but
You're parking out artifacts.
We've noticed the people of Statia are proud of their island, as they should be, and want to share it with others. Later that evening, we found ourselves at Scuba Aqua, the other dive shop here in Statia. And although we had been diving with Golden Rock, they invited us in to have some drinks. For a second, can you imagine walking into a dive shop in the United States, with the owners knowing you're diving with the shop next door, and being offered a beer? Ha! It would never happen.
Super swelly, and it wasn't supposed to be like that anyways, but yeah, we were trying to contact you, like change your position or throw in something.
When we tell you the people here are like no other, we truly mean it. In today's world, it's not too often you find strangers who care about you. They want to know our story and share theirs.
So we are checking out of our hotel room for a couple nights we spent here. It was amazing to sleep in a huge flat bed. And last night we had drinks with the hotel owners downstairs, and they gave us a little tour of the area. Absolutely amazing. We had a wonderful stay here, and this morning we're gonna go diving, so back to One Life. We were incredibly eager to dive on the historical sites we had heard so much about. We loaded tanks and headed over to Stumpy, where Gary gave us our pre-dive briefing.
So, we're going to go dive Shipwreck. These are supposedly from the 16 and 1700s. So there was at one time some shipwrecks here. Basically, the reef is after growing on top of all the ballast stones. Any questions on anything?
Sounds good. All right. As you can see, these dive sites were absolutely mind-blowing.
Morning! We are headed up to go meet our Golden Rock family and Bo and Brandy. We're gonna go on a little adventure this morning and go check out the planetarium, which just opened here, and it's the first planetarium in the Eastern Caribbean. Captain Dave came to pick us up because the walk was a bit hefty, and the dive shop did not want us to miss the opportunity to visit the planetarium. Retired astronomer Jaap Vierling and local Ishmael Burkle launched the planetarium initiative as they recognized the benefits to both schoolchildren and tourists alike. Once we were there, we met up with the rest of the dive crew. Do you see what we mean about the people here wanting to share their island with us? We had a quick briefing before entering the show. Unfortunately, we had to shut off all cameras once inside, but we were so happy we got to experience the Caribbean's first planetarium, and we wish Statia much success with their new astronomy venture. After the show, we headed back to the dive shop. We had some important business to handle. Our boat buddies, Brandy and Bo, were completing their scuba dive certification, and we were invited along to join in the celebration. We are so happy we have 2 more dive buddies out here. Congrats, Bo and Brandy!
So Brooke made you guys brownies.
Oh, and you guys all signed it. Rock on, bitches! Just sitting here in the cockpit watching the sun go down, and it's absolutely stunning out. And tonight we are headed to a local bar in town for happy hour and a DJ dance party. So really looking forward to a good time tonight, and maybe we'll dive tomorrow. We'll see how hungover we are.
Well, I think I'm gonna go have my weekly shower.
Yes, we get to fancy ourselves up tonight to go to town. We don't
Going out on the town.
We don't go out at night very often, so when we do, we like to make it count. Should be fun. Not only are the people of Statia the most genuine we know, they also know how to party.
The Boardwalk Cafe for making this possible for you this evening.
Here's a little thing they call the Pure White Party. Practically everyone on the island came out for this. Complete with gold runway, twinkle lights, and sparklers, Statia knows how to have a good time. Up next is the men's best dress competition.
Now we have the crowd's favorite. The crowd's favorite with Marlon.
From the whitest suits we've ever seen to the fanciest shoes imaginable, this tiny island has yet to disappoint. And as the night went on, it was time to put the camera down and just enjoy. And the next day, well, you guessed it, we were too hungover to dive or hike. so we just laid on this black sand beach and relaxed with our friends all day. If you haven't figured it out by now, we are in love with this tiny island, and we hope you join us next time for some more Statia fun as I celebrate my birthday. Cheers, everyone! Thanks for watching! A big thank you to all of our One Life crew. We have the most kick-ass friends and family.
To score some SV One Life gear for yourself, head over to sv1life.com.
Yeah! Yeah, you should definitely wear those. Yep. Yes!